What's up, everyone? It's Frank. Michael, say hi.
Hey guys, Mike Perna, Keller Williams, or Mike Perna, Michigan.
Matt, say hi. You got to unmute.
Hey, I think Frank, you got to be proud. You got the most hair of anybody in this group.
Dude,
True story.
This
It's happening.
is the real reason why you had this call,
Dude.
right? So you can feel good about
Dude.
your
Yeah.
hairline.
yeah. You had the mirror behind. So, Michael, you sell a lot of houses. Anyone on this webinar knows much about you, but just real quick, tell everyone who's maybe watching this about your accomplishments and a little bit about who you are in Detroit.
Sure. And here's the kind of 10,000 foot view, if you will. This year we're on pace to sell about 1,150 homes. We'll end up about only about 75 homes short of the actual goal, which is good considering the market. Year over year growth of around 60 million. Year over year growth the year before, just over 100 million. We went from 20 agents 3 years ago. We now have 114 licenses on the team, trying to gross 15 a month. Let me think what else. Own a title company, own a mortgage company, involved in insurance, have rental properties and whatnot, all that stuff as well. I don't know what else to say. I have an
That's a lot.
amazing, highly talented leadership team that I respect a lot, and I have to mention because there's no possibility I could do it without those three individuals and then the people that report to them.
If I could chime in just a little bit, I could brag on Michael just briefly because we've known each other for a lot of years.
Yeah.
He really wanted to work with us, but the situation didn't permit itself. And when it did, he was the first phone call I made. One of the most humble guys that I know in the rate network, who is probably goes to any mastermind he possibly can, the right ones, and just very well versed in the industry, a mad implementer. And it's been amazing watching his growth over the years and still being willing to be an open book and share. I can't say enough good things.
Yeah. Thanks, Michael. Or Michael, I agree. And then thank you, Matt. One thing I do want to share that you really got to talk about more, Michael. How many listing appointments did you set this month or last month for your agents?
Let me see. Actually,
How many listing appointments? So this is leads come in from radio, TV, whatever. They go to an ISA to put them in the CRM, and you literally set the appointment for them, a bottom of the funnel appointment. How many did you set for your agents?
Last month we were at 143. So far this month we're at 91.
Okay, makes sense. It's November, but
Yeah.
when you look at a lot of these top teams, is at some point you make, this isn't the point of the webinar today, but at some point you had to make a decision. I'm not going to send the leads to the agents. I'm going to send to the appointment setters to set the appointments for the agents, which has different split economics and yada yada yada. But I just want everyone to know that, and that's one of the big secrets of your team. Besides the leadership and everything else, it's another piece of the puzzle. I think people need to know.
Yeah, and to be
The
fair,
thing I would say to that is that Michael he's probably one of the most diverse people in terms of using Vyral, using, radio, TV, using Howard with Walopo, using, using video, using email blasts. You use a lot of different things. And I love that because it's not just one thing. It's many things that you guys do really well. And that's what I'm fascinated about from this call. And I think everybody on this call will really wonder, okay, what did you cut? What is staying? What are you using? And how are you merging them together to make this machine sell at such a great pace right now in this market?
Let's start there.
Yeah.
Michael, you're having to make shifts. We all know that.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'll say on the ISA side, on the inside sales side, is we're pacing for 350 buyer appointments this month. We ended the month last month around 290. So we're actually moving forward with that right now, not backward. And
you scrub those through a lender first?
Well, that's just it. So we have it set up with, well, yes, I own a mortgage company. Come on now.
Okay.
Come on now.
Well, because usually they'll stick. But if you're really truly putting them through a lender, that's the secret to setting the buyer appointments.
Well, we're setting the appointment first, right? So we're using a lot of the Zillow scripting, the ALM stuff that they're teaching with Zillow Flex. So we're really going after, let's go hardcore on the appointment, get that nailed down. But then we added to the end of it that lender script. So a good third of those appointments we're trying to actually disqualify off, right? Before they even get to the agent, or maybe they get to the agent and then they haven't talked to the lender yet. So the agents are then connecting them. So with our lender, we set up a hotline very similar to like our ISAs, where we have lenders man that hotline. So we've got 100% pickup rate. So when the ISA is on the phone with them, they say, by the way, has
Yeah.
anybody gone over with you what the monthly payment for a home like this is? Has anybody gone over with you what the
Did you
closing
just
costs
live
are
transfer it?
available? And then we live transfer it into the lender, bring
Oh,
the three-way call in, right? And that's been a huge game changer for us because we can set it and
is
just
the
call
only
back
reason you can do
call.
that is because you own the mortgage company? You can set that up?
Yes, and I believe that if you're working with a larger lending company like um, there's a more national team with cross country mortgage that has done something similar. That's actually where I got it from. There's a local cross country mortgage team that does that. We're not cross country and not affiliated with them. I'm just mentioning it as a national lender. But I think if you find like a bigger team, a bigger lending team, similar to our bigger real estate teams, because they're out there, as opposed to like a onesie twosie, they could probably handle something like that. And we just work it on a 4-hour shift system. So 12 hours in a day, there's 3 shifts a day. I have 12 loan officers. So over time, they're rotating through.
By the way, if I was a loan officer, that's what I would show up saying I'm going to do for you as the agent to help you
Yes.
out with your business.
Yes. Yes. The
Yes.
same thing I would do is as a loan officer, if I were doing it, is I'd say, hey, let me loose on your pond leads, on your older non-called leads. I'm going to call them and try to qualify them for a mortgage, but I'm also going to turn them back over to you and set appointments for your
God,
agent.
this is so off topic, but God, I mean, if there was just a mortgage company that everyone can go to live transfer and qualification calls from the ISA and the buyer leads.
Well, if
That's
you're in
great, Michael.
Michigan, Silverline Lending does this.
All right, back to our topic.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
let's
sorry.
talk about,
But
yeah,
just
that's
a good pro tip
really
there.
insightful. When you say you're saying that many buyer appointments,
Yeah.
the secret there is you have a live 100% pickup rate to get the buyer pre-qualified
Yes.
from the ISA.
Yeah. And we don't, of course, we don't say the words. And people on this call are very high level. So I don't need to go too deep into the psychology of it. We don't say, are you pre-approved? Because the buyers, they know that script. They've already learned that script. Yes, I'm pre-approved. No, I don't need to talk to anybody. It's, has anybody gone over the monthly payment with you on the home you're going to go look at?
No,
Different.
transfer me.
I want to be, well, I don't really need that right now. Well, what I want to be sure you're armed with the best knowledge to make the best decision for your family before you even walk in the door. I'm going to get my lender right now. Assumptive close.
So with the shift, everyone here knows what's going on with that.
Yeah.
How are you reorganizing your business and how are you reorganizing your lead generation? Just tell me what you're doing given the shift of the market.
Absolutely. We got a second Matt Wagner on, I think.
Uh-oh.
Which is cool. Great question. So the number one thing at one of the conferences or multiple conferences, actually, you know what? I'm going to start here. It was at the rate conference in Tennessee. Ben Kenny was on stage and one thing he said was very impactful and I did not listen. I'm sorry, Ben. And I know I owe you a phone call. I apologize. You can let him know. I will call him. He said, we're going to have to increase our efforts by a minimum of 30% just to keep what we had gotten. And then he said on the side, that also means we're going to have to increase our recruiting efforts by 30% because we can't count on our agents to all the time go up to 30% needed. So for us, we tried to place bets on both from that moment forward through the rest of the year. So I went back and I looked at my follow-up boss and I found that, and we called them efforts. So we actually, because of Ben, we called them efforts. We saw that we were averaging around 15-ish thousand efforts a month. Calls, texts, and emails fall under that category, and not mass emails, one-off emails, not mass texting, one-off texting, like video text specific to a person, and phone calls. Like we count each one as an effort, almost like 1 point, one effort. And so the drum we've been beating over the last 6 months is we got to get our efforts up, and now we're averaging 32,000 efforts per week, every week.
What?
Yeah.
How many agents do you have again?
114. I think that number sounds we hired a couple.
Right around there. Yeah.
Well, and I've got one leader that loves to fire them. It's like she had a cold last week, so nobody got fired, I think. So, and it's now I'm, of course.
That's pretty incredible, man.
Yeah. So we've been really super, super dialed in on just increasing the number of efforts per agent because the other thing I found is like most of my
By the way, I like the word efforts. I've never heard that before, but that's a very purposefully chosen language.
Yeah, one of my leaders came up with that. One of my
like
leaders
it.
came up with that, and
get it.
he
Yeah.
does a really good job with naming things.
That's a text and email. They're all, yeah.
Yeah. So that was one game changer for us, was just looking only at that, because the other side of it is I feel like we were almost overtraining and over trying to skill up the agent. Like we were running all these classes and we were doing all these different Zooms, especially when we were in the midst of the pandemic and we were doing all this like, oh, you got to be required to come to this training per week, every week. And Some of our agents were very highly skilled, but they weren't actually doing anything with it
Because they're in your trainings.
because they're in the training.
Yeah.
Or they were just lazy, but they felt like they had a work day because they went to a 1 hour training. And I'm not trying to be negative anyway, anybody when I say this, and I'll say for myself, like I would wager a guess in Michigan, there are probably only a dozen agents that could flat out without dropping commission beat me on a listing appointment right now. But each one of those other dozen agents will beat me. They will crush me because I haven't gone on a listing appointment this year. It's no good to be super highly skilled if you're not actually putting it to use, right? So now we're looking for people the other way. We're looking for people that are high effort, and then we're doing more targeted training with those guys. So like I've got a young kid on the team. He's fantastic, Dustin, where this guy is just killing it. And at first he was struggling to get buyer agency signed. So we did one-on-one training specific with him. Like we paired him up with another agent. We paired him up on the showing appointments, on the signing appointments. And then it was a I do, we do, they do. And we went super intensive on that one agent. And over the last 6 months, he's now gotten 54 buyer agency signed. So
Wow.
we're kind of learning. I can't make people do the things I want them to do, but I can make the people that are doing the things high skill.
How many recruiters do you have?
2, and we're bringing on a third.
So you have 2 or 3 full-time dedicated people finding this talent.
Yes. Yep. 2 full-time, and then we're bringing in a part-time one.
Wow. Anything else you're changing? One of the next question I want to ask you is how you're changing messaging. Is there anything else you're changing around given the shift? And I want to get to the messaging and the advertising bringing in on the scripts.
Yeah, when we're getting to the messaging, we're using anything that happens in the market, any little thing that happens in the market as another reason to pick up the phone and call them, right? Because I really want to have 5 reasons in the bank to call buyers and sellers because I don't want to just say the same thing all the time. Hey Matt, it's Mike. Following up with you again, seeing when you want to move. I want to have a reason. Hey Matt, it's Mike. Wanted to follow up with you. There's been a lot going on in the market right now. Would you like to know more about a lot of my clients, a lot of my great clients, just like you, want to know more about what's going on with national real estate? Would that be of interest? They want to know more about what's going on with their home values. Would that be of interest? They want to know what's going on with interest rates. Is that of interest? A lot of my clients have been asking me for additional sold properties in their area so I can get a kind of feeling for where the value has gone. Would that be of interest? And
like giving them some of the MLS stuff.
Yeah.
So they're getting a little ahead of where prices are going.
Yeah. Because
I don't get on the back end of it.
And that's it. Because a lot of our agents are not calling because they don't know what to say. So we've set up kind of a 5 bulleted thing that they go through on each call.
Go through those 5 things again.
Yep. It's
give them to me.
Hey Matt, it's Mike. I was giving you a call. A lot of our clients and a lot of my own personal friends and family have been asking me a lot of questions about real estate, and it made me think of you. I wanted to ask you, do you have any questions about what's going on with national real estate? No. Do you have any questions on what's going on with the interest rates? No. Do you have any questions what's going on with local real estate, like homes are in your neighborhood or around your house? No. Would you like me to send you out more sold data? No.
That's more current and accurate of where the prices are heading from the
last 3 sales that have happened in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yep. Would you like me to send you the last 3 sales of what's happened in the neighborhood that you were looking at last month?
Yeah, that you're not seeing yet.
Yep.
Yeah. And then what's the 5th?
That's it. That was the 5th. To where they're going next. I always try to have future pace. So I always end it with where they're going next because buying's a fun process and selling just sucks.
Oh, where are you going next?
Yeah. We all have garbage in our basement that we should put on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, but it will just sit there for the next 5 years because it sucks. But yet we're all on Amazon every day buying other stuff. Buyers are no different. Sellers are no different. Sellers don't want to sell a house. They want to buy a house.
Okay.
So we always try future pacing to the next destination and what the emotion is around how they're going to feel.
That's a great script for consumers. Peter, what's up, Peter? Peter asks, what questions are your recruiters asking agents when they call? Give me the script when they're calling agents.
That's a great question. Okay, so
it's probably different based upon who they're calling on.
So it does depend on who they're calling. So our primary focus right now, or at least in the last 30 days, have been our co-op agents, right? And so we're going to start it out with a survey script. Hey, Frank, it's Mike with KW. How you doing?
How soon after the closing, or is this after closing?
2 or 3 days after closing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great. What's wrong?
Oh, nothing. Hey, my name is Mike. I'm one of the managers on the team, and I want to follow up with you. It is super important. Our relationship with our co-op agents are super important. Do you have just 60 seconds for me? I can ask you a few questions about how your transaction went with our agent, our team.
Oh, yeah, great. Everything went good. What's up? Yeah, I got some time.
Great. Excellent. It looked like you were dealing with Melissa on the team. On a scale of 1 to 10, how did she do communication-wise, and how do you feel about her interactions?
10. She did a great job. Everything went smooth.
It also looked like you work with our closing coordinator, Connie. She's awesome. She's been with us for 12 years. How do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10?
10. She has to work from the moment she wakes up to the moment she goes to sleep. She was always there for me.
Awesome. And then last, it looks like we had Silver Line Lending, our mortgage company on the other side. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did Andrew Vanetta's do with the loan?
Awesome. It cleared right on time and the
Awesome.
rate was good.
Dude, that's so cool. Hey, question for you. I've been getting a couple of calls and talking to not only our agents, but just agents in the market. There's a lot of things that are shifting and happening in the market. How are you feeling about the market right now?
I'm terrified.
Yeah, I get that. What's keeping you up at night? Because there's stuff, I know there's stuff keeping Mike up at night. That's for sure.
Just, I wouldn't, I just kind of got into business 2 years ago and kind of thought 2021 and early 22 were normal. And apparently that's not normal.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
So
not.
I made some financial commitments that I'm really worried if I'm gonna be able to honor with my inconsistent commission income that I'm feeling coming down the pipeline.
Hey, I get that. Hey, over the last 12 months, what was your primary source of business?
Buyers.
Nice, nice. Where were the buyers coming from? Were those like open houses, sphere of influence, online?
I'm on a team and they would give me like buyers from Facebook, but now none of them are qualified and they all need down payment assistance and they can't buy anything.
All right, I'm going to stop right there. One thing I want to mention, I try to make it a practice not to recruit team agents.
Got it.
And the reason
get
is
that.
because, yeah, I always want, I mean, I'm just being completely candid here. Like I want to try to maintain the relationships I can with the other co-op team leaders within my area.
Let me rephrase then.
Okay.
I've been running my own Facebook ads on social media and I'm getting the worst buyer leads ever with these down payment assistant course that I'm trying to implement myself to get buyer leads. They
Yeah.
aren't working, Michael.
Well, and before you go there, I just want to put a pin in that one. So Metro Detroit has a ton of major teams, right? I mean, you got myself and Mark Z and Jeff Glover and Jim Schaefer and all these big megas, which is great. And they're all friends. They're all friends. I will eat and have dinner with any of them, right? But the commitment that I made to them is I won't recruit their agents. And reason being is because if we go to war with another team or another brokerage just solely, nobody's going to win. Because it's no different than going up against 5 agents on a listing. Somebody's going to go down to reducing commissions. And then all of a sudden, we've all either got to reduce commission or come up with better objection handlers, or our job just gets a lot tougher. So we can go to war with a couple of those other teams. But at the end of the day, we're just spending against each other. And I've got 9,000 agents in my MLS that I can target.
Yeah, got it.
Why
Fair
target?
enough.
This guy's 20. Yeah,
Dude, this is great. This is a great question. So just real quickly, what else on the script?
So if you're,
are you going, what's the call to action? You going
so
for the appointment?
you're saying Facebook leads. No, that's great. We use Facebook leads at high level as well. We also have six other sources for buyers. What source would you be doing if you knew how to do it, or if you had the knowledge or the training, or
Michael, I got to work my database. I can't. Everyone's telling me I don't work anyone here I know. I hate chasing strangers.
I hear you. Hey, Mike actually just taught a class on a 36 touch for a database. So a database will turn over a 10 or a 15% return. How many people do you think you have on your phone right now?
Well, I don't know. I attended this webinar with Frank Klesitz, and apparently I can download this app called Covey Export, and it will tell me I have 1,250 in my
Wait,
phone.
Frank who?
Frank Klesitz, like you don't know who he is?
Nope. I'm kidding. No, that's great. And
By the way, go download Covey, Covve, Covey Export Contacts. It's a free app that will immediately tell you how many contacts are in your phone. And
yes,
you can export it and you migrate to it.
yes, and you can also go into and if I was on the phone with them at that moment in the call, I'd say, hey, open up your contacts.
Oh, it's
actually
$5, I
$5.
guess. They start charging it now.
So open up your contacts, scroll all the way to the bottom, and tell me how many contacts you have. Like I would just say it right on the call, and you're telling me, Frank, that you've got 1,250. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So 1,250, if you can get a 10% return, that's 125 closings.
Yeah, I need the help.
So what if we only got you maybe a 2% or a 3% return?
Can you really help me with this, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what. Let's set up a quick 30 minutes to sit down and have a cup of coffee together. But I'm going to ask you to commit to something, and I'm going to also commit something to you. Okay?
What's that?
So I'm going to commit to you that during that 30 minutes that we sit down in Starbucks, I'm not going to talk about my team. I'm not going to talk about my brokerage, and I'm not going to talk about recruiting whatsoever. Fair?
Fair enough.
Now, during that 30 minutes, my expectation is we are not going to talk about your brokerage. We're not going to talk about any other teams. We're not going to talk about any of that stuff. All this stuff is off the table. This is simply myself trying to provide value for a colleague in the business that's struggling a little bit. I want to see you do better. That's all this is.
Michael, what a nice phone call. Yes, that sounds great.
All right. What's better for you? Friday afternoon or Saturday morning?
Friday afternoon, Michael.
Okay. And then when I get there, I sit down, I take my timer on my phone, I set it to 30 minutes and I start the clock.
Oh, that's
And then I go to a coaching session. It's just a coaching session.
yeah.
And by the end of that coaching session, I know one of two things. I either want them on the team or I don't.
Yeah. All
Just
right,
by
that's enough on.
how they're leaning in and how they're
Here's the app.
there it is.
It says free on my end, Peter. I don't know, maybe it's a different one, but still it's worth the $5, but that will pull all the contacts out of anyone's phone right there.
COVVE.
Yeah, that's right there. All right, let's go into messaging. So radio and TV.
But that's it. Wait, but before we get there,
Yeah.
put a pin in that one. At the end of it, at the end of that 30 minutes, like when the alarm goes off, I say, hey, I committed that I was only going to take 30 minutes of your time. Do you want to keep going? And 9 times out of 10, they say yes. And I said, great. If we're going to keep going, then I'm going to need your permission because I want to actually bring you into one of my team meetings to show you what my team actually does and how we work. And I found that helps people. And I get them into the team meeting. And then if they're in the team meeting, I can sign them on the spot.
The approach is so legit.
It is. It's value. Making those deposits in the bank before you go for the ask. I see a lot of times with recruiting, people go straight for the ask, but there's no value and there's no relationship and there's no trust. And so I'm also gaining their trust in me that I'm going to protect their income. When they come to one of my team meetings and they see 50 of my agents there, all kinds of hyped up about the sales that they're closing, about what's going on with their personal lives, about their personal growth, about their business growth. When they see that, that does the heavy lifting for me. And then when I sit down and do a Q&A with them after the fact, like we did one, not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, we had 6 licensed agents in, 4 of them signed in that room.
It's great.
So we're also doing signings in group now.
Makes it easier, doesn't it? It's good.
Yeah.
Messages.
Okay.
Let's move on. What are the messages you're putting out on the radio and TV and through Vyral, whatever the media is? But what's the message that's getting the phone to ring to set all those darn appointments?
You know, what's interesting is, you know, with, and I'll go to Vyral first, getting my open rate up was super important because the market, the message and market match. 95% of people are not looking for real estate or caring about real estate at any point in time. Only 5% of people are in the market. So by sending out real estate, I found that my open rates were going down below 5%, which really sucked, by the way. So I switched
it
with my weekly email to hey, this is what's going on in Metro Detroit this month. You know, here's more of a financial update, not just around real estate, but around real estate and stocks and crypto and interest rates and inflation and the jobs report. Something that's not leaning either way because I don't get political on anything ever, but just
well,
more.
you're skilled. So I'll talk about that real quick. I put in the chat. I just signed a contract with Emma for like $130,000 for millions and millions and millions of emails. And then we did all the YouTube research. Those are your evergreen topics I put in the chat. So
Yeah.
those topics will work all the time and they're fine.
We do.
What Michael's doing is you're like a journalist and you really know what's going on and you're creating something custom of what's the question you're hearing now, like the rate buy down.
Yep.
Is a big thing. What are some of the things right now that are the big topics right now you're sending out? Rate buy down.
So the rate buy down, we're really talking about heavily, like, and we're doing that more on the phone than we are by video or text or anything like that. It seems to land better on the phone because we can actually explain it and direct connect them to a lender. Now, when it comes to the more general messaging, like the radio and other methods like that, this is going to sound odd, but we're going right back to Google us for our reviews. Right? And I know even my friends and family are Googling us before they call us. I know this, right? Like my mother will Google me first to make sure I have decent reviews. But it's hey, Google Michael Perna, Google Michael Perna Real Estate, Google Michael Perna Real Estate, Google Michael Perna Real Estate. And in some of my videos, I actually show, like with the Barbara Corcoran video,
good God, Michael,
it shows Barbara.
Well, this is why. If I could spell Detroit right.
Yeah.
2,300. Michael.
We focus, we make that an absolute focus.
Michael, you have personality, you're passionate, you identify needs, you're an asset, you have a great work ethic, you're motivated, you're resourceful, you do marketing, and then Chelsea. Who's that? She must be important.
Chelsea's my past client coordinator.
Michael, let me interject just one thing on here. I mean, 2,300 probably to most people seems way out of range. I could never do that.
Yeah.
What is your team's system for consistently getting reviews and not getting them taken down?
I apologize. I have a cold right now. I'm so sorry, guys. We're making it. Yeah. So Chelsea calls them 9 days in a row So essentially we effectively get a hold of all of them. That's number one, right?
But so it closes and she calls them 9 times for review.
Yep. Calls them 9 times
Got it.
for review.
All right.
And the way that we're getting it is, so at first we were doing the gift card thing for clients, but you can't do that, right? Like Google will literally take those down if they figure that out. But what they won't do is they won't take it down if you gift card to your agent. So we're giving a $100 bonus to our agents if we get a 5-star review from the clients from realtor.com twice, 2 times on realtor.com, once on Zillow, once on Google.
Well, there you go.
And there's
You have
no
the person
rule.
calling.
Yeah. And so we just tell them up front, hey, listen, part of our program is we do a $100 bonus for our agents if they've done a stellar job. Do you feel your agent has done a stellar job?
So let's go deeper on that for a minute.
Basically the
So-
red pin thing. Yeah.
Besides the incentive, right? Because then agents might run out and just try to grit any kind of review.
Yeah.
What training do you give them on how to get a review? Because I know I talk to agents all the time, and that's one question I get asked all the time. How can I get my team to get more reviews for me besides trying to hold a gun to their head?
Yeah. So as Chelsea's talking to them, and any agent can do this in the same fashion, as she's talking to them, she's typing what they're saying as well, right into Follow Boss or whatever CRM you guys want to use, right? And then she recaps and
Sends it
says,
to
hey,
him.
Frank, I just want to read this back to you to make sure I got this right. Yeah, I forgot I had this. Well, want to make sure I got this right. This person was helpful. They did this, they did this. Is that an accurate depiction of what you feel about this person? Yes, great. I'm going to text this to you right now, and then I'm going to text you a link to reviewperna.com. Can you click the link and then copy and paste this text?
Reviewperna.com.
Yeah.
This is a great nugget, and I hope everybody just heard this.
Oh, so this is that's just a URL that redirected directly here.
Yep. So now you can copy right out of your text and paste it right in there. Thanks, Frank. Yeah.
So here's an interesting point of that. Now, if they're controlling what's being said, I think a lot of this can there's a good balance to doing this, but sometimes we let the consumer just say whatever they feel like saying, when if we ask them the right questions and we restate what they've said, it's not a lie, it's not inaccurate. You're just helping guide what is being said. So now you can help shape reviews so that they could differentiate you from other agents. Every quote I have on my website, somebody actually said, or a video, they said it. Because I'm not going to misquote somebody, but sometimes they don't remember what you want them to say. But you need to be more deliberate and be targeted. So that I'm reading this, I know the difference between the Perna team and other teams. It's not just, oh, he's great. Oh, they were nice. Oh, they followed up. Being very deliberate. I was blown away by their marketing. I saw what they did, and they had someone calling me each day. It was accurate. You know what I mean? Like specifics that you guys do that are different.
Yeah. Well, and we use those reviews on listing appointments and on buyer appointments, and our scripting is around just issuing the challenge. You know, hey Matt, thank you so much for sitting down with us. Thanks for taking the time to go over your home sale. Let me ask you a question. You've interviewed a couple of different agents at this point. How do you know with 100% certainty that any of us are going to deliver on what we just talked about? How do you know?
Reviews.
You
I read
don't?
reviews.
You don't really know.
Yeah. Can you pull up your phone for me? Okay. Who was the first agent that you interviewed? Here, put the person's name in your Google and put the word reviews at the end. Oh, they have 3 Google reviews. And they said they sold 100 homes last year. That means 97 people decided not to give them a 5-star review.
Michael.
Oh, boom. Boom.
Peter, thank you. And that was like the meanest thing I probably.
Hold on, that's the YouTube clip. I'm going to grab a YouTube short. Say that again, Michael.
That's the YouTube clip. Yep. All right, Google the next one. Google the next one. Okay, now Google me. Okay.
That's good.
So one thing we know is I can't predict the future, but the past is probably the best predictor of future success, right? So based on seeing this guy with 3 reviews, this guy's with 16, and this guy actually has 2 bad Yelp reviews. That's all I can find on him. And we've got 2,600. Which one do you think you're going to have the highest likelihood of delivering on what they said? Ready to get started?
Yeah, that's good. I think
Okay.
anyone paying attention that's on this webinar with the rate group has more reviews than most of the competitors, and there's the script.
Yeah.
Anyone who is not in the rate group saw that does not like you.
No, no. And I will say this, check your competitors before you go on the listing appointments. Like check the big ones that might be big into reviews like myself.
Yeah.
There are 3 or 4 agents in Metro Detroit that have a lot of reviews, not this many, but a lot. But I do monitor that because I always want to stay 500 or 1,000 ahead. Just be sure you're not like putting your foot in your mouth a little bit.
500 or 1,000 ahead.
Okay. Okay. You see,
No, it's no, but it's so
turned
natural to you. That's like
factual
that's,
information into a flex.
I know, it's
That's
crazy.
meant to be a flex.
Yeah.
Not even
No,
a-
it's great.
Yeah.
Anyways,
But I do.
just
I do wanna-
hats off to you for the call to action on the radio to send them online. Most people are like, no, call. Right.
Yeah.
Michael, do you
It's a
mind
huge
also
decision.
sharing how you don't wait just for people to volunteer what they listen to, but how your ISAs proactively bring up your
Yes.
presence and leverage that to your advantage? Can you touch on that?
So that's interesting. So even with Zillow calls now, we're asking the question again, how have you heard about us, right? So it says, hey, thank you so much for coming in through Zillow. And for the flex agents, you got to kind of make sure you acknowledge that, of course. How else have you heard about the Perna team? Because I want them to try to think of other connections that could boost my credibility. Because a lot of times, especially through like Zillow, they don't necessarily connect that, hey, this is the Perna team with this is the Perna team realtors. How may I help you with the Perna team that they hear on the radio on WJR, or the Perna team that they see, whose signs are in the ground everywhere, or the Perna team that they saw in Google, or the YouTube videos that we've been putting out, or the Instagram where we've been trying to pump up the reels on that, or the TikToks. Like a lot of them don't necessarily connect the dots on that phone call because they're so concerned about that property, as they should be. The property was the call to action, not the Perna team, not even Zillow. Zillow just provided the call to action or the easiest transit conduit. There it is.
Michael,
Easiest conduit. Yeah, because
we can go.
yeah, because generally speaking, people don't even until they get used to it go necessarily on Zillow. They go on Google, and then Zillow's become a master of topping Google, and that's how they get to Zillow. If Google dropped Zillow's rankings now, all of them, I firmly believe Zillow's business would cut by 50% in the first quarter alone. If Google just simply cut it. So these guys aren't even thinking of Zillow or Realtor.com or Redfin or any of these individual companies at this point necessarily. They're just thinking about, hey, I want to go see this house on 123 Main Street because it looks nice.
Last
Hey,
question.
Yeah.
We got to wrap up, Matt. See
We're
how
gonna wrap
fast
up
the 30 minutes. Yeah. Do you see how fast 30 minutes can go, Michael?
He's got like 9 questions. I can feel him jumping out of his seat over there.
I
It
know,
would
we could
not
be
be
here
a
all day.
raid call without Jen Young asking a question. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Did you see it on there,
Yeah,
Frank?
that's what we're going to do. We're going to
Okay.
honor Jen's question 100%. So here we go.
I don't think I even see it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the Q&A. If you didn't have Zillow Flex, would you just have lenders commit to 4-hour shifts to answer live and try to qualify live?
Great question. I don't have Zillow Flex. I know a lot of readers do.
Well, you don't. If you didn't have
don't.
Zillow Flex, you don't have it. So if you
I don't have Zillow Flex. So I have a very large Zillow spend on Premier Agent. We also do a very large YLOPO spend, specifically for the Facebook leads where people are looking like the newer type where they're looking to book an appointment on that property. We do a very heavy YLOPO spend, very heavy YLOPO pay-per-click spend. I do a lot of boosting of my homes during the coming soon phase. So that 2-day period that the National Association of Realtors allows us to boost and actually market homes before the showing start, I go super heavy on that. Like I'm spending $50 a day for 2 days, trying to get those calls generated specifically to my team because you can't get in, you can't even talk about this property anywhere else. Nobody even knows about it yet, even though the realtors can log into the MLS and see the coming soon listing. They're not aware of it yet because there's so many properties going through the MLS. So we're really working, and then of course all the sign calls and everything else because we have 75 signs in yards at any point in time, plus the open house calls. So my goal is to make my phone ring inbound 400 to 500 times a month from either listing calls, people that want to list a home. Like we really go hardcore on the expired mailers. We just beefed it up again. So we're doing a 9-page letter day 1, and it's custom to that home. And then we have 11 postcards that go out over 11 weeks. And that's starting to bear some more success now that we're in this harder market and people are realizing not just any agent can sell a home. It's the old Kingery stuff, guys. I went back and I reached all the way back to 2008 and I pulled out the old, let me throw you a lifeline. It was like a life thing in the water. Like,
Oh, all of his postcards?
yep. Like,
Do you- do
like
you-
that. Yeah. You want a mulligan on real estate,
Yeah,
on selling your
remember those.
home. And I had like the golf ball and everything. Like I went all the way back down to those and we redeployed all that stuff without even really looking at it, which I know Robert Dukansky uses as well still. So I'm just kind of following his lead on it. He was still using them for the last 12, 14 years. So we're looking to make those inbound calls come in as much as possible without having to do as much outbound so we can direct connect to a lender. One thing you might want to consider, Jennifer, is if you don't have the volume, pair up with 2 or 3 other agents in the office and say, hey, maybe all of us together have the volume, and maybe we can do a joint venture or an MSA that's RESPA compliant, and enough, and like together we can go to a lender and say, hey, I need you to answer the phone this amount of times, and I will give you this amount of business.
So earlier you answered what your ISA says about the lenders on the call. Very last question. How many emails and videos do you send to your Mets?
Oh, Jesus. Wait, to my Mets.
Yeah,
Okay.
your database.
Yeah.
36
I know what you're saying. Okay, yeah. So right now we're sending 1 email per week. That's kind of like a market update, like what's going on in the market, what's happening this weekend, like zoo lights and stuff like that. We're sending 1 email a week that's completely market based, about like, hey, interest rates have gone up. This is what it means for your home. Hey, interest rates just came down a 0.5 point. If you've been sitting on the fence, today is the day, now's the time. Buyers are jumping back into the market because they're stoked about the 6.5 rate versus the 7.125. Here's what you need to be doing to winterize your home. Hey, have you considered moving, but keeping your current home with a great interest rate and turning it into a rental property, because we could do property management for you as well, right? Like we do 1 of those, so that's 2 emails per week, right? In addition to that, I'm trying to think what else we do. We do a monthly Q&A. So we do a 1 hour long Q&A. Austin and I do it on the first Saturday of the month. We send out 3 emails and 2 texts. So that's 5 more touches leading up to that Q&A once a month. And then we've got our client events, and we do 6 of those per year. And each of those consists of 7 touches. So right now we're roughly in the 120 to 140 touch range.
It's just like the one upping. It's like, oh, I have 1,000 touch.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
we just built it over time, right? Like we have a private Facebook group for our past clients that we invite them into. And if they get into it, then they get things like our pie giveaway. They get things like, specific giveaways and Christmas with Santa with photos.
Remember when you called me to just get this started and you weren't doing much of that?
Oh my gosh. Yes. And I remember the first time we talked, I think I was like get viral
10 years ago.
number 6, like
Yeah.
literally number 6. And I was so scared of the camera. I had no idea you shipped me a camera, and then
It was a flip camera, dude.
it was a flip camera, and I
Yeah.
ignored your call for the next month. I don't know if you remember that, but like you called me. It was like, you need to get on this camera. And I'm like, no. I'm not doing this. This is not going to happen.
Just look at, but this, it does, again, it's just the progress of growth. And the same thing Matt could say is the progress of growth of, here's all these leads that are coming in, but you have all the follow-up systems to be able to track everything that's going on radio and billboard and everything.
Yeah, guys, and then I do want to put this out there. If anybody wants to get onto our I'll wrap it up. If anybody wants to get onto any of our mailing systems, like our email campaigns or our drip campaigns, I mean, seriously, feel free to just shoot me an email, shoot me a message, or shoot me a text, whatever that looks like, guys. I'll put you on.
People are gonna want those expired postcards. They're floating around the internet somewhere.
I'll send that too.
Let me, I'm gonna put your email in the chat.
Okay. And here's the reason, because I created nothing. I have copied everything.
Gmail.
Yeah. So copy everything from me, everybody. Literally take my stuff and copy. Take my video, give it a watch on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and just shoot the same damn video.
Perfect.
Literally.
That, anything you want to say?
Because that's all I did. I just copied somebody else.
Yeah.
Mostly without permission, but.
No, I love it how you sync everything, and I think you make sure that everything, I think it all, you work it together, which I think is really, really important. I think sometimes people do other campaigns separate from each other, but I think you've done a really, really good job of making it all gel together. And I think that's why you have the success that you have.
No, and that's also why it works. I mean, before, like in my head 10 years ago, I had this master plan of like 12 different campaigns. Like, here's one for tech geeks like me, and here's one that are like gardeners, and here's one. None of them ever actually deployed. So I just made, one set of campaigns, and eventually just morphed it into 2, one for agents, one for people I've met.
It speaks to your character. I will say this, Michael, knowing you, probably to me, in my business, my takeaway from all this, among many things, especially with the buyer lead stuff, is your leadership team. And that leadership team allowed you to keep climbing that mountain of all these things without having to fall down all the time.
Yeah. And that is, I'm blessed to have the leadership team that I do. Jennifer Young, SOI and past clients are still my number 1. Zillow's my number 2. But yeah, no, my leadership team is bonkers. I got ridiculous talent on the team right now.
It speaks to your character of how they stick around, they stay with you. So anyways.
Yeah, and you guys have I bring them to events because I need them to see this stuff and learn this stuff. Like a lot of people on this call have met my leadership team, and I'm going to continue bringing them because I believe wholeheartedly I have the best damn leadership team in this real estate business.
You know, it's something you helped, and I'm glad you brought them in the past, like to our events. You know, Michael, at first I felt like I just wanted rainmakers like at masterminds or on Zoom calls. But what I've come to, I've even had to come to learn, it's people like you that have taught me that it is valuable to get other team members at masterminds or on Zoom calls, because then they see the bigger picture. It's not just you saying it, they see where you're getting it from. So they
Yes.
respect your channel, and then there's buy-in, right?
Yes.
And so now when there's buy-in, everybody's cooperating and agreeing versus, you know, just, oh, that's just Michael's idea, right?
Well, we've all run back to our respective teams, been like, guys, guess what 9 things we're going to do next week? And then they're all like rolling their eyes. They're like, oh, and Mike will be off this in a week anyway. But if I bring them, they get that excitement and they can ask better questions than I would, because now there's 4 of us, not just one of us asking the questions.
Michael, you're trained to the razor edge of what you're doing. There's no question.
Can I ask one other
These are all-
question
yeah.
while we're on this, Frank? Michael, you've been to about every important conference in the last 1 to 2 months.
I've got a concert tour shirt.
I want the concert tour shirt. Is there 1 or 2 takeaways that you would summarize that all of those did to change your viewpoint for this market right now?
You know, I think still number 1 goes back to we have got to be recommitted to doubling our efforts, whether that's efforts engaging with the clients and consumers, whether that's efforts engaging with the other agents in the market to bring them onto our team before they fail out of the business, because I think 30% of agents will be out of the business in the next 6 months. 30% will probably hang on. 40% will probably move forward. I'm sorry, 30 more percent will probably move forward a little bit and have some temporary success. 10% are going to take a dominant amount of market share. So I think increasing those touches, but also just coming from a place of empathy, because we're going to run into a lot of hard situations in the next 6 or 12 months. There are going to be some heartbreaking stories, I believe. Like, I'm not trying to speak doom and gloom about the business, but let's be honest, like credit card debt went up $121 billion over the last 12 months from its all-time low in 2020. But refinances, which usually follow pace, like equity out refis, cash out refis, have not. But then you look at HELOCs. HELOCs are up 44% year over year at a higher interest rate. So people are again using their houses like credit cards. They're taking the cash out, paying off the credit card, not changing their spending habit. And I think people are going to be getting into some trouble. So I think we need to come from an approach of empathy in 2023 more than anything else.
We'll end it there. Michael, thank you. Matt, thanks for putting this together, and thank all of you for attending. If you have any questions, you want any examples, I put Michael's email address here in the chat. We'll have the replay up in the group, right, Matt?
Absolutely. This is one worth watching. So thanks to you guys both. Thanks for carving out your time, and congrats on the move to EXP, Michael.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Enjoy the day,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks, you guys.
Bye.